Hello, Turquoise Mama here, and today I thought I'd share some memories that have to do with Calvary Chapel, uh, Chuck Smith, and Greg Laurie. Since the movie Jesus Revolution is out and there's a hubbub and people talking about it and giving their input about it, good and bad, I thought this would be a good opportunity to share some personal experience with the people involved, which isn't too much per se of the people themselves. I've never met Greg Laurie. I might have met Chuck Smith one time, went up and shook his hand one time, but that would be it. But I did attend Calvary Chapel Costa Mesa, and I actually attended one of his other churches in his denomination, Calvary Chapel Downey, and and it is a denomination, I believe, even though they say they're non-denominational. I think once you start a second church, you're now a denomination. But they have churches all over the world, so I don't know what makes them not a denomination. But I guess that's a discussion for another video. But I remember being involved with them, and I wanted to share those memories with you. But this was the time I was involved with them was in the late 80s and early 1990s. And I was right out of high school, in my early 20s, up to like early 20s, and attended those churches. I did start out going to Calvary Chapel Downey, I believe. That started with going to the concerts. They used to have concerts on Saturday nights, and they'd have the Christian bands come and play. And so I was listening to K-Love, was the Christian radio station there, and I think they advertised on there. And of course, being involved with other churches, it kind of, the Christian realm, people talked about what was happening. And if you followed the bands, you would find out about where they were going to be at. So me and other Christians and kids my age would go and show up at Calvary Chapel on Saturday and go to these concerts. Well, it wasn't just my age. There was a lot of actually older people there, 40s, 50s, 60s. There's people of all ages that would come to these concerts. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that, why I did it. And then some of the people I met through there, I think, it's been a long time, so some of my memories, I don't remember all the details or how, probably chronologically, how things went. But we also started going, some of the people that were there involved with Downey, I think we started deciding to go to the Costa Mesa denomination or location. And I also would go to concerts there. I remember at Costa Mesa, I went to a concert setting there. It was Undercover, Altar Boys. What was the other one? I'm trying to remember. So we would go there and attend the concert, and then afterwards sometimes we'd go out to eat or hang out there in the parking lot and talk for a couple hours. So that's my experience with those churches. I do agree with somebody. I just saw a video I just recently watched talking about that Chuck Smith was too Baptist to be charismatic, but too charismatic to be Baptist, and I agree with that. That's pretty much how it was. The environment in the church was a little bit charismatic and Pentecostal, but not enough to say it was. They are pretty conservative. He was come across as a pretty mellow person when he was up there preaching. I did attend on Sunday mornings for a while there at the Costa Mesa location, and he was very calm. His preaching was very mellow. But he always had a smile on his face, and it was, I would say it was very calming. He was, not never a loud preacher. and never got he wasn't very animated too with his body language. I never remember that. Uh, so, I'm trying to think of anything that would be pertinent information that somebody might want to know about that. Really can't think of anything other than that. So anyway, if there's anybody has any questions about it, was like I said, I only did this for a little while. I didn't really attend them long term, and some of the involvement was on different days. Like I remember I was going to the Calvary Chapel location on Thursday nights for a Bible study, but I had a different church that I would go to on Sunday and Wednesdays. But Thursday night I had some Christian friends and they were going to the Bible study on Thursday night, so I was like, yeah, I want to go. And so we would go there, and then afterwards a lot of times we would go to Bob's Big Boy down the street after the study, and then go and get something to eat at Bob's Big Boy and hang out there for a couple hours until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then everybody's like, okay, I gotta go, I got work tomorrow, and so we did that. So that was part of this fun part, I guess, of some of the socialness that in my life. I'm trying to remember, I kind of probably was oblivious to a lot of stuff, and coming from a neurodiverse perspective now, I probably talked and sounded a certain way, which was kind of maybe odd. I don't know. I probably was. I know I was very oblivious to probably that, because I'm sure I was talking a certain way and had certain thoughts. And I remember a lot of times I would just sit there and they would start talking about stuff, and I'd be okay, and I would just sit there at the table while they're all talking, and then I would start noticing people in the rest of the restaurant, and and observing people in the rest of the restaurant while they're all talking about whatever, and I'm off looking at everybody else in the restaurant and just observing them, people with kids, and just somebody sitting there by themselves and wondering, hey, I wonder, what they're doing and why they're there by themselves, or with the parents with the kids, and oh, look how cute, just going over, oh, look how cute that little kid is, and how parents trying to get their kids to sit down or eat or whatever. And I look back now, I kind of was off in my own little world a lot of times, while everybody there else was at the table talking about stuff. And once in a while I'd tune into what they were saying and make a comment or ask a question, or whatever. It'd be kind of nice to have some feedback from those people if they could remember. But I don't know, maybe nothing was really noticeable. It wasn't the neurodiversity in me wasn't very didn't manifest in ways that the classic classic autism would manifest. So, I'm sure I just seemed like kind of a normal person, just kind of, she's a little bit odd, but, she's kind of off, does her thing, no big deal. Maybe she's off on her own. Maybe they thought I was off on in my own world. Oh, I don't know, but I don't know, maybe they didn't even pay attention. Maybe they don't even remember, there wasn't even, nothing stood out, even if you had asked them the next day or, a week later. But those are things I do kind of wonder now about how I would have acted or not acted, if I would have acted differently back then had I known about neurodiversity and how the spectrum, how things on the spectrum pan out versus, like we say, the classic autism traits. And those are things I am going through in my head these days, trying to remember those things, and if I can remember anything that people said or did, or that kind of at the time either frustrated me, or I didn't understand what was going on, or didn't make sense to me. I mean, I did, a lot of times I didn't make sense to me, some of the things that people were talking about. I'm like, why is this important to you? This is dumb, It's like, whatever, a lot of things didn't interest me. And, but I tried to, be kind. I tried to think of things, to talk about that they might want to be talked about, like classic things, like if a lady had a nice shirt on, oh, I like your shirt, type of thing, and just ask them about their job, or if they talk about something, try to think of questions I could ask them, to have some type of interaction with them, and make them feel important, because that's what I was told. I remember, hearing things about what makes people feel important, and it's questions like that. It's when you ask them about their family, or their kids, or their job, or their hobbies, as long as they're not trying to deal with trauma. Then, sometimes asking people about their family triggers stuff, and they don't want to talk about it because it's triggering trauma and traumatic events. But, but just trying to work through that. I just remember being, now I think about it, remembering being like that, just trying to sit there and consciously think of things to say, and try to listen to what they're saying, and try to be in the conversation if I could, as best I could. And I think I think, maybe part of how people treated me early on, back in my 20s and right out of high school, was because I probably did come across as reading a script, or, because I was really consciously trying to do this stuff, because that's what I was told made a good person, to be, that was things you do to be a good friend. And I was trying to be that, and and I look back now, it really wasn't working very well, really. I even remember, I've always had, as long as I can remember, eye contact was important to me, because I read an article or something one time, back like in high school, or probably junior high or high school, that talked about how to have good communication, and one of them was eye contact. So ever since then, I would try to have good eye contact, which now I look back on that and realize I was so concentrating on trying to have good contact, and noticing that when the other person wasn't having good contact, that it was distracting. I was so concentrated on trying to deal with the eye contact issue, having good eye contact, and they're not having good eye contact. How are they looking at me? And I'm going through all this stuff, and they're trying to talk to me. So I really wasn't having good communication, because I wasn't listening. And even though that was one of the points in that article, was part of good communication is listening. So here I am trying to listen. I'm trying to do eye contact. I'm trying to deal with their eye contact. So all these things going through my head, all to have good communication. But then I can't have good communication because I'm concentrating on all the stuff that was on this list of to do this, listen, and give the other person time to talk. And so you're sitting there and you're like trying to give them time to talk, but then all of a sudden all this stuff's going through your head, and you're thinking about what I want to, thinking of things that you want to say, but you're trying to be patient and let them talk. And it's this kind of, it's one of those situations that's probably, I'm wondering how much atypicals deal with this, how much other people deal with this. But I'm realizing now, and when it comes to communication, and you're trying to look them in the eye, so you come across as just like this hard stare instead of just looking them in the eye, because you're concentrated on looking them in the eye. So if anybody has any input on that, that'd be great. Oh boy, and there goes the dog needing to be let in. So I think I'll stop this video right here. I don't think I have anything else to say on this subject. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.